This is Gaming In. We are Gaming In Progress.
What is going on, guys? This is Tim with the Gaming in Progress, and a couple hours ago, the video game awards, or the Game Awards, ended, and I wanted to take the time to make a video and kind of go over some things. So we're gonna start this off here, and we're gonna take a look at some of the world premiere stuff that they showed us during the Video Game Awards, and then we're going to probably, if at the end, if there's time, if not, I might have to do it in a separate video. I want to talk a little bit about the award show itself and who ended up winning the various awards and stuff. So we're gonna dive right into this here, and I just kind of have a list here from heavy.com just to kind of make it all organized without having to go through the actual 2-hour and some long live stream event of the Game Awards and go through and look at all the world premieres. So I have a list here, and we're going to be starting off with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So I'm not like a super Legend of Zelda fan by any stretch. I mean, I respect the position Zelda holds in a lot of people's hearts as this early game that a lot of people played, and I mean the gameplay does look really good, as you can see here, because I'll have the gameplay will be right here for everything I'm talking about. So the gameplay does look to be pretty good, and if I had a Nintendo system, I might actually be kind of interested in it. It looks like it actually gets kind of really a lot more serious tone and a lot darker than maybe some of the previous Zeldas in past times. So we don't see a whole lot of the story or anything, but they do have a second video later on in the same live stream that they show some gameplay from the premiere, premiering some gameplay. The Nintendo CEO actually even comes on. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he comes on and he's like, okay, sorry I couldn't be here, but I have some new gameplay for you guys, so take a look at that. And then it obviously shows the video and stuff. It shows two guys, they're playing a section of Breath of Wind, and they're trying to find a dragon. They're trying to find a shrine, and the gameplay, what's kind of weird about the gameplay that they show us is, I don't know if it's purposely really foggy looking, or if that's just if that's how maybe just the area they're in is. The gameplay actually does look pretty good. It looks very Witcher styled, I would say, or more action-oriented combat than traditional RPG combat, which I actually prefer that. I prefer being able to do attacks and stuff as I move and stuff over the old school RPG mechanics of you take turns and stuff like that. So they end up failing the shrine thing, and it looks like they're playing this on the Wii U. This is supposedly going to be on the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch, so it'll be quite interesting to see when we see gameplay of that. There wasn't really a lot of information about the Switch itself, just that Breath of Wild is going to be on both. So the next thing we're going to take a look at here is Rocket League Starbase Arc. And Rocket League has actually come quite a long way. I mean, it kind of started out as this little goofy thing that I don't think people really took seriously, and then it's become this big esport thing. I think it's really cool, and in this newest DLC or expansion or whatever, we're actually going to be going into space, and that'll be very interesting because, I mean, obviously it's mainly been in different states and stuff on a planet, obviously, and we've gotten some really cool cars like the DeLorean and the Batmobile and stuff, but now it looks like in space we're gonna have new cars, and it's gonna kind of change the game a little bit here, because it looks like these new cars have more of the ability to fly whereas like it is now, you can just kind of like jump in the air and stuff. These cars, like, it seems like they actually have the ability to actually fly. So that's going to be quite a game changer for Rocket League, I think, introducing that mechanic. Now, I don't know if it's going to be just the new cars that are going to be able to have that ability, or if it's going to be those cars and then all the existing cars in those space maps, or what. But it'll be very interesting to see like how that affects it from just like a casual aspect and an esports aspect. So I'm actually pretty excited for that, because I do have Rocket League on the PS4, and I do cross-play now and then with people on like PC and stuff. And it's a lot of fun, and I think this will be very interesting, and definitely a game changer. Next, moving on here, this is one that I didn't catch during the Game Awards, but I actually found out about later on. What's cool about this is Bulletstorm was really kind of an underappreciated game. It was a lot of fun. It was very, like, to me it was kind of like Doom, but not Doom, you know? It was very brutal, and all these like signature skills and signature like attacks and stuff, and beating the crap out of each other and fighting all these big ass monsters and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And I don't think maybe it got the recognition it should have. So now Bulletstorm is going to be back, teaming up with Gearbox. Gearbox is going to be the publisher for Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition. And one of the really cool things about this is it's gonna have 4K visuals. Obviously, you're gonna have like all the same battles and stuff that you know and love, and the kicking people in the face and sliding and stuff like that. But what's really gonna be great about this is you have the ability to play the whole game as Duke fucking Nukem, which is fucking great, because Duke Nukem is just fucking Duke Nukem. What more can you say? It's fucking Duke Nukem. So I feel like he fits well in this game, because it's very over the top and showy and stuff, and that's Duke Nukem, you know. That's like it's just, I feel like he's gonna work really well in this game. And it's not just a skin thing. It's gonna be, you have the whole character experience. All the dialogue, if you play as him, all the dialogue is going to be voiced by the guy who plays Duke Nukem. And so it's not just some cheap, tacky, like, visual thing. It's going to be like a whole thing where you change out the main character with Duke Nukem. So that, I think that's really cool. Kind of like a really nice bonus to reintroduce a game that I feel like they're kind of going for a remaster here. Without calling it a remaster, they're calling it the Full Clip Edition, and they're bumping up the visuals to 4K, and they're going to be adding new maps and stuff. And of course, they're giving you Duke Nukem to play as. So I feel like they're doing, like, I feel like that's a remaster done right, in my opinion, where you bump up the visuals, but you also add more meat to the game if you can. Give it better mechanics if you can, or new content or whatever. So I'm excited for that. I might actually end up picking that up. The next thing we got to talk about here is we got to see some of Hideo Kojima's latest bizarre creation. And man, Hideo, you're a weird one. You're a weird guy, but we love you. So we get to take a look at his latest, whatever the fuck this is. Norman Reedus isn't actually in the trailer for this one, like we've seen like in some of the things past where he was like holding that baby. We don't see him like at all in this. But going through it, there's like baby mannequins and stuff like that, and it's really like it's like why I'm actually watching it like right here, right now, and you'll be able to see it here. But the whole thing is just really bizarre. Like I feel like it's gonna tell like a very interesting story about like the horrors of war and stuff like that. Obviously, it's meant to be like more futuristic looking. In some retrospects, and also like more old school in other retrospects. So it'll be interesting to see like how it all comes together and the exact kind of story it'll tell and stuff. But it definitely seems to be revolving around like this child, because after the tank rolls by here, and there's like all the guts and stuff all over this tank, and I don't know if those are supposed to be like human guts or what, but you can see like the soldiers and the planes go by and stuff. But you'll notice like this guy here, he's holding like an incubator that's got a human fetus in it, and that to me that seems kind of futuristic, because I don't really think that we have like portable incubators like that even right now, let alone whenever the setting of this is. So it's kind of interesting, and he doesn't have it turned on right away either. You'll see him plug in this thing, and then it turns on the incubator. So I think that's kind of interesting. Obviously, he's trying to like flee this area, the city or whatever, this war-torn city or state or nation or whatever, and the baby kind of floats through, and he's if you notice too, he's wearing handcuffs. So he broke out of capture. So he was captured and he escaped with this incubator with this child in it, and there's soldiers up on top there. But it's kind of weird because like this whole like the water around him, and it's like this like almost like tar water, and the baby glows, and like as you can see here, because it's gonna be like right there, the whole thing is just like really bizarre. Like I watched through this a couple times and I can't figure out like what the fuck is going on. Like I understand bits and pieces of it obviously, but like I'm not really seeing something like a cohesive story here yet, and I want to see that cohesive story, but it's like not really there. So, and then we get to like over here, and when we get to this point, it's like these soldiers are moving through the area here, and then there's this guy that all the other soldiers are like connected to with some tubing, and the guy's wearing a helmet, and it's like really weird. It almost feels like he's like a robot or something because of the way that helmet like disappears here, and he's either like a robot or a cyborg or something. I don't know why, but I almost kind of get a Matrix feeling from this, like the way he's connected to those other soldiers, and then those like cords just kind of slurp back inside of him or whatever, and it's really weird. So I'm not really sure what to expect from this whole thing. It's going to be very interesting to say the least, because it's a Hideo Kojima game, and everything he makes is interesting and weird and fucking, so we'll see. But I'm hoping that we'll get like more information here, and we'll know like what the fuck is going on. So Death Stranding is interesting, but also utterly fucking confusing. So moving on here, we have we got a new Warframe update that's coming. Not really anything super big. I mean, Warframe's been around for a while. I'm actually very surprised how popular Warframe has gotten, since I was never really into it. Like I played it on PC when it first came out on PC, and then I played it on console, and I've never really like understood what so many people see in Warframe, but I feel like it's the same thing they see in Destiny. So, but it looks like there's going to be a lot of new stuff going on with Warframe, which is good. It'll keep the fans going and coming back for more. It looks like maybe you'll have like new characters to play as and stuff like that. So, it'll be interesting to see what they do. Next, we have Telltale, and Telltale, they can put out some really cool, like, story-driven stuff, and they're going to be doing a Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale series here, so they're going to be doing their first Marvel, like, thing. Obviously, they do the Walking Dead stuff, and the Walking Dead stuff is really great. I plan to get, like, all of the Walking Dead Telltale seasons here when I can. But it'll be interesting to see like what they end up doing with Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like you don't really see much here. You got the little Walkman radio looking thing, and obviously I'm thinking it's a view of Earth that we're seeing, but that's kind of really it. I mean, it's just a fucking little teaser trailer to say, hey, we're doing this here. So it'll be interesting to see what new information we get as we go along. And then we have Dauntless, the world premiere of Dauntless. And Dauntless, it's like there were some games at the awards this year where I was just kind of going, I mean there are some aspects of it that look pretty cool. It looks like it has very interesting artwork and stuff. Very, very cartoony, kind of like Firewatch. I feel like that's how more developers, like more indie developers, are going lately. Is they're going for this like kind of like uniquely styled like cartoon look for indie games. It seems to be like the trend that's going on with indie games. It looks to be kind of interesting. We don't really see a lot of it, but I think it kind of reminds me, from what we see of it, it kind of reminds me of Evolve, but I'm hoping that it'll be more unique than Evolve was, because Evolve kind of died out, and obviously they have to have some sort of hook that'll hook players on into this game longer than Evolve. It might not be like Evolve, it might be like more like Monster Hunter. I'm not really sure. I'm just going off of the trailer here. Haven't really heard much about it prior to that. And then moving on here, we've got Lawbreakers. Now, Lawbreakers, I watched the trailer for it, and I was not impressed with it. They pass it off as like this super unique game that's such unique experience and stuff, and then it's like you watch the actual trailer for it, and to me, Lawbreakers is like a combination of Call of Duty Black Ops 3 and a little bit of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and Overwatch. It's basically just like those three games mashed together into this thing. And it's like they didn't want to make an Overwatch clone, so they mashed some other elements in there and tried to make it unique. But you can tell that it was very like heavily Overwatch inspired. At least it looks like that to me. Like it was like they thought, oh, Overwatch was really successful. How can we replicate that but make it unique? Well, let's throw in some Call of Duty in there and do that too. I'm hoping that it's more unique than it looks, than the trailer leads me to believe. But I wasn't really impressed from what I've saw there. And the next game I had actually almost completely forgotten existed. I had actually been sent through Bethesda's email system or whatever. I'd been sent trailers and stuff for this like way back, and that is Prey. Now Prey, it looks like it's going to be actually like a really interesting space game. It's going to be a really, really good blockbuster sci-fi game, kind of like Alien Isolation, but obviously its own unique thing. But in the same sense that Alien Isolation was really good, I'm thinking Prey is going to be really good. It looks to be really good. It's got its own unique things. It'll be interesting though to see, like, because this is basically like the first like new IP really that I can recall that Bethesda's done in like forever. I mean, obviously they do Skyrim and they do Fallout, but it's like they don't really do a lot besides that. I mean, obviously Doom, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because it doesn't seem to be like as combat focused as Doom, and there's a lot of puzzle elements in here too. So I think it'll be a really interesting game. And then obviously there is some like there are like enemies and stuff to fight too, but you kind of have to use, I feel like it's going to be more like a wits game and using like gadgets to get away or fight or whatever than it is just going around guns blazing, blowing everything the fuck up like in Doom. Not that there's anything wrong with that, don't get me wrong, I fucking love Doom, but it'll be interesting to see how Prey plays out and how it shapes itself into being its own entity. So I'm really excited for that, actually. Moving on, we have Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment, which is actually a prequel to the original Shovel Knight game. I've never actually played Shovel Knight personally, and I'm not necessarily a fan of the style of like classic retro game. There are some games out there I like that are like that, like Stardew Valley. But to me, this looks very like old school, like kind of Castlevania feel to it. I'm not a real big fan of it, but I do know people out there who do love these types of old school games. So this will be really great for those kind of people. And it's a prequel, so it'll be interesting to see like how it fills in the gaps that that Shovel Knight might have left out. So I think for people who are Shovel Knight fans, you guys are gonna enjoy this game. And then moving on to next here, we've got Halo Wars 2, and I played the beta for Halo Wars 2. It was either the beta or the closed alpha for it. I can't remember which, but it was a lot of fun, and I've been kind of a little antsy to get more info on Halo Wars because I like real-time strategy games. I like strategy games in general, but I really like real-time strategy games. Like back in the day, I used to play like a lot of Command and Conquer Generals, and I've played Star Wars Empire at War, and I've played Homefront and stuff like that. So I do like strategy games. You might not really see them on the channel all that much, but I do like strategy games. It's just strategy games aren't really interesting for people to watch. I don't really think. It's more like you gotta experience it for yourself. And there are some games that are just like that. So we do get to take a look at some Halo Wars 2 here. We get a new cinematic trailer, and then we also learn here that there's going to be new enemies for us to go up against and new threats and stuff. And the AI chick in this trailer is kind of like chicken shit in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. What's really cool though is we learn too is we're going to actually be able to get the original Halo Wars Definitive Edition through pre-ordering Halo Wars 2, so that's pretty cool. And so basically it's like you pre-order Halo Wars 2 now, and then you get Halo Wars Definitive Edition, then that'll keep you tidied over until Halo Wars 2 comes out. So Halo Wars Definitive Edition, I believe, is basically improved visuals and gameplay and stuff like that, and it's going to be on Windows and Xbox One. So I would say if you're chomping at the bit to get some Halo Wars, you might want to go hop on and pre-order Halo Wars 2. That way you can get the Halo Wars Definitive Edition. So moving on here, getting past this trailer, and it does look like it's going to be Halo Wars 2 is going to be interesting, and I know it's going to have good cinematics because I mean it's a Halo game. Halo games have to have good cinematics. So moving on here, we have more Telltale. We have the Walking Dead, A New Frontier.
Thirsty baby.
And I haven't really kept up with the Walking Dead Telltale series like I meant to. Like I've played most of season 1, I think, and a little bit of season 2, and I haven't really played since then. But it looks like we're gonna be meeting some new characters here, and we're gonna get to see some new faces, and that's always good. Obviously, it's gonna have the same great Telltale storytelling mechanics that we're used to, which again is good, and it's gonna be an interesting story. And I believe everybody who's played the previous Telltale stuff, they're gonna like A New Frontier for the Walking Dead series. And it looks like, and it's like it's gonna, I think it's gonna do like a lot of more like moral questions and stuff. Like the grandma gets bit by the grandpa who was dead, who came back as a walker, and the grandma gets bit. So it's like now they got to deal with killing Grandpa and then killing Grandma too. So it's crazy. Then again, every time you deal with zombie shit, it's gonna be fucking crazy. So it'll be interesting to see like if we have any returning characters. And it looks like the kid is actually gonna play like a pretty mature role in this too. So that'll be interesting. But I mean, we'll see. I would like to see like some of the previous Walking Dead characters return. Obviously, also want to see like some of the like TV show Walking Dead characters cross over into the game, and maybe vice versa. Next here we have Mass Effect Andromeda, and you know I'm gonna let the trailer play for you guys, obviously, and then I'm just gonna kind of talk about Mass Effect Andromeda. See. Mass Effect 3 was, to me, the ending point. Like, you killed off... Shepard is basically either dead or a Reaper or dead. And, unless you get, like, the secret ending where he's like... But then they're not going with that because they're basically saying, oh, it's, like, way in the future and Shepard's long gone and everybody you knew is long gone and you're in a new galaxy and stuff like that. And it's like... To me... They kind of ruined it for me by doing that. And let me explain why. It's like you play through Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, and you basically are Commander Shepard, whether you're Paragon Shepard or Renegade Shepard or Male Shepard or Femme Shepard. You are Commander first name, whatever, last name Shepard. And you get to know all these supporting characters and you get to be their friends and stuff, and you feel for them, you know? And it's like you're a team, and it builds that connection, that attachment, and then they want to introduce Mass Effect Andromeda and basically say, well, screw all of that, you start all over again, you gotta make new friends, you gotta get attached to a new main character and a new supporting cast and stuff like that, and it's just like, no, I'm good. On top of the fact that some of the people who work at BioWare lately have been saying a bunch of shit that I'm not really going to get into, but there's been a lot of controversy there. And I mean, I looked at the gameplay. I did watch like the entire trailer, obviously during the live stream event, and I'm not that interested. Like the gameplay doesn't really look that great. Yeah, I mean, sure, there's some interesting new mechanics, and you can fly around and do whatever and like teleport and stuff, and that's all cool, and you get to fight giant robots and stuff. But it's just like, I feel like. What was great about some of the previous Mass Effect games, and maybe it's just because of the direction that we're headed overall, Mass Effect really stood out because it was a it was a really, really well done sci-fi space RPG with like kind of like a space opera, and it really stood out in like the gunplay and the gameplay and the powers and abilities and stuff. And now it just feels like it's like generic, you know? And maybe it's just me, but it just doesn't really feel unique anymore, and it's got like, I feel like it took a lot from like other games, like all the random monsters and stuff and environments and the scanning and stuff. It feels like they took all that from No Man's Sky, and it's like, I don't want any more No Man's Sky. If I wanted No Man's Sky, I would play No Man's Sky, and I played No Man's Sky, and then I got a refund for No Man's Sky. So I don't want any more of that. But I just don't really feel like this new Mass Effect stands out. It's like there's no real like motivation. It's like you gotta find a new home from humanity. Why? Humanity has a home on Earth, near the Citadel and all our galaxies. Like I don't really feel motivated to get involved with this story like I did the other stories, because with the other stories it was humanity was at stake, and then the galaxy was at stake, and then in Mass Effect 3, like all life everywhere was at stake because of the Reaper invasion, and now it's just like you're kind of like starting all over again with humanity being at stake again. It's like, you know, whatever. So that's kind of how I feel about it. And then this wasn't something that was like wasn't really like new gameplay footage or stuff like that. But I'm actually gonna have this at the end. But when we get to the end of the video, the Doom soundtrack live, like they played the Doom soundtrack live during the event, and it was just great. It was a lot of fun to just like listen to. So basically, just kind of conclude here, the awards, we did see like a lot of interesting things, a lot of not so interesting things. Like Prey, I'm really glad they actually showed Prey more at the Video Game Awards, because I actually honestly kind of forgotten Prey was a thing. There hadn't been really a lot of news about it lately, and I'm glad that they showed that. I'm glad that we got to see some of Death Stranding. Not that any of it made any fucking sense. I'm glad that we got to see Rocket League's new update, and I'm actually excited for that. I could care less about Mass Effect Andromeda. But now that we're kind of near the end here, I want to talk about the awards themselves here. And kind of my thoughts on some of these awards. I'm not going to go through all these awards here, simply because I'm already like 30 minutes in here, and I'm going to have to do like a good amount of editing here. So a couple of things I thought were kind of, a couple ones I wanted to highlight here was the Trending Gamer real quick, which the nominees for that was Angry Joe Show, Bogey2988, Danny O'Doran, Jacksepticeye, and Lurk. I was actually it was kind of odd to me that Jacksepticeye lost that award, but I mean, I actually thought he was going to win that. Boogie ended up winning that, which was just as good in my opinion. Boogie's a really nice guy, a really fun guy, and I actually hope to meet him someday and talk with him, or play a game with him or something. He's really fun, you know. The most anticipated game, this one I was actually really surprised by, because I thought either Red Dead Redemption 2 was going to win this, or God of War was going to win this, but it was actually Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild that won this, which I was really blown away, because, I mean, people were losing their shit over the new God of War, and ever since Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer came out, the hype has been building for that, and people are really interested in that. And, I mean, even before then, people have been wanting Red Dead Redemption 2, so I thought that was actually really weird. For Best Multiplayer, we've got Battlefield 1, Gears 4, Overcooked, Overwatch, Titanfall 2, and Rainbow Six Siege. Now, I was actually thinking Battlefield 1 was going to win this, because, I mean, Battlefield has a history of being, like, these really great shooters, and Battlefield 1 is a really great multiplayer shooter, and I was surprised that Battlefield 1 lost to Overwatch. And you'll notice, like, Overwatch ended up winning, like, a lot of the awards here. And that actually kind of annoyed me, because some of them, I really think there were better candidates than Overwatch. And to me, this is just me personally here, to me it felt like they were kind of pandering to Overwatch, because it was, like, the biggest thing, and it was Blizzard, and Blizzard is, like, this really big, great company in World of Warcraft and stuff, but I don't know. I'm not really a big Blizzard fan. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Overwatch. It's a fun game, and it definitely won some of the awards it won. Yeah, I could see it deserving that. But others, it's just kind of like, you know, I think this game should have won that, or whatever. So, like, for the multiplayer, I think Battlefield 1 was better than Overwatch, multiplayer-wise. Best Sports Racing Game, Forza Horizon 3 won. I'm not really big into sports or racing games, but Forza 3 definitely looks like it's going to be an awesome game. Definitely looks like it was a lot of fun, and I'm not really surprised that it won that one. Now, this next one I want to talk about here, Best Strategy Game. This one pissed me off because of who won. So we got Fire Emblem Fates, Banner Saga 2, Total War, Warhammer, Civilization 6, and XCOM 2. And Civilization 6 won. Now, I know a lot of people like Civilization. I am not one of those people. I don't know why so many people like Civilization games. I've never liked Civilization games. Like my thing was like Command and Conquer and StarCraft 1 and 2 and Star Wars Empire War, but I feel like if Command and Conquer had been on this list, like there was a new Command and Conquer game and it was just as good, or if not better, as the old Command and Conquer games, I feel like it would have beat Civilization. All right, so moving on to best RPG here, we got Dark Souls 3, Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, Witcher 3, Wild Hunt: Blood and Wine, World of Warcraft Legion, and Xenoblade Chronicles X. Now, I'm actually not surprised at all Witcher 3 won this, simply because, while Witcher 3 may not be my personal RPG of all time, they did a really amazing job with Witcher 3, and I really respect like what they did with the game, how they did everything, and all that. Like, they put a lot of care and effort into it, and the whole free DLC practice and stuff like that. It may not be my personal favorite RPG of all time, but I respect the hell out of CD Projekt Red for what they did with The Witcher 3. Best Action Adventure Game. Dishonored 2 won this one. I was actually believing Hitman was going to win it. I was actually quite surprised that Dishonored 2 won. I thought it was either going to be Hitman or maybe Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, because that's a really popular action-adventure game. Ratchet & Clank hasn't really been as popular as it used to be in like the PS2 games. PS2 days, Ratchet & Clank was really popular, and I had never even heard of Hyper Light or Drifter, so I didn't really think anything of that one. And then Best Action Game, and there's only this one, and then like one or two other ones I want to talk about here for the awards themselves. Best Action Game, we got Battlefield 1, Doom, Gears of War 4, Overwatch again, and Titanfall 2. Now, while all of these games are good games, and really actiony games, with maybe the exception of Overwatch, because it's more of a light-hearted game in my opinion. Doom wholeheartily deserved the win here, because I mean they're the granddaddy of shooters and action games, and they really lived up to the legacy with the new Doom game, and it just did an amazing job keeping that legacy of being like the greatest shooter of all time type deal, you know. So definitely mad respect for ID Software and Bethesda for pulling that together and making a great Doom game. Like I love the new Doom. And then moving on to Best Independent Game. Best Independent Game, there was actually a couple good ones on this list that are a couple of my personal indie game favorites. We got Firewatch, which was definitely one of them. I loved playing through Firewatch. I didn't play through it on the channel, but I played through it on my own. Really fun game. If you haven't played through it, I highly recommend playing through Firewatch. Again, Hyper Light Drifter, Inside, which ended up winning, Stardew Valley, which is another personal favorite of mine. It's basically like a modern version of Harvest Moon on the PC, and I loved Harvest Moon. I played the crap out of it in like middle school and stuff. And then The Witness. Obviously, Inside ended up taking the cake here, so good on them. And then the only other two really there's three more I want to talk about here. Well, no, two, because there's only Best Narrative. Uncharted 4 wholeheartedly deserved to win, even though personally I would kind of liked Mafia 3 to win instead. I had a lot of fun playing Mafia 3, and I feel like the story that was there, even though it was maybe like a little bit too fractured in between all the repetitive missions, because the missions did get kind of repetitive after a while, the story that was there was a good story, and Lincoln Clay was a great character, in my opinion. So even though I would have preferred Mafia 3 win, Uncharted 4 wholeheartedly deserved to win, because I mean all the Uncharted games deliver such a great cinematic story and really well written. So definitely good there. Best game direction. This one also, these last two ticked me off. So you got best game direction and then game of the year. Best game direction, we've got Blizzard for Overwatch, DICE for Battlefield 1, ID Software for Doom, Naughty Dog for Uncharted 4, and Respawn Entertainment for Titanfall 2. Now, I had been basically rooting for Titanfall 2 the whole Game Awards show to win something, because I feel like it needed to win something because it's not doing so hot in the numbers, and it's a really good game. It needs to do better to help build up that sustainable player base to survive as a multiplayer game. Obviously, you already know who won this. Blizzard won it for Overwatch because they like. I feel like they won like too many awards. Like they were just giving Blizzard like all the awards. It's like, here, take this one. Oh, and take this one too. And oh yeah, here you can have this one as well. It's like spoiling Blizzard here, in my opinion. And then we have Game of the Year, and for Game of the Year, we got Doom, Inside, Overwatch, Titanfall 2, and Uncharted 4. And you already know who won this one too. Overwatch did again. So like I feel like one of these should have been given to Titanfall 2 to have. It's a good game. It might be underappreciated, but it's a really good game, and it deserves at least one of those awards. Either Best Game Direction or Game of the Year. It deserved one of those awards, and if it had gotten one of those awards, it would have not only been deserving of it, it would also help boost Titanfall 2's popularity into, hey, you know, I should check this game out, I should play this game. But obviously they're going to be having the free weekend and stuff as well. So hopefully that'll help Titanfall 2 out. So basically, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. That's basically all I have to say about the game, about the world premieres that they showed us, as well as the Game Awards themselves. If you want to see the full list, you can check out the website I have linked in the description, as well as the website I have linked for the videos that I use in this. So that being said, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you guys did, leave a like. If you guys did not, leave a dislike. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them down in the comments section below. I'm curious to know what you guys think about the Game Awards themselves, as well as the games that were premiered during the Game Awards, particularly that shit Kojima put out, that weird ass shit Kojima put out, and Mass Effect Andromeda, because I'm really not feeling Mass Effect Andromeda. Like, I'm more interested in that thing Kojima is doing than Mass Effect Andromeda, and the thing Kojima is doing is fucking confusing as shit. So that should tell you how not interested I am in Mass Effect Andromeda. So that being said, hopefully you guys have enjoyed, and you will enjoy the song at the end of this video that I'm gonna be putting in here for you guys. I'm just gonna have it play the song on the way out here that they played the Doom song, basically, that they played live during the Game Awards. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed, and as always, this has been Dauntless, the Gaming in Progress, and I will see you guys in the next video.